Okay? And so what this church can do, or what other institutions can do and have done, is say, all right, let's have an audit of where our investments are at. You know, let's pull all of our financial instruments out of the corporations that are connected to this military occupation. The Church of the Brethren in 2006 passed a resolution that it wants all of its financial investments out of Caterpillar. I worked with the Mennonite Church some 2 years ago for that church body to pull all of their financial investments out of corporations that were connected to the Israeli occupation. Right? So there are things that we can do with our legislators, but there are also things that we can do with inside of the other institutions that we are connected to. Whether you're connected to a trade union, whether you're connected to a university, a different sort of church. I don't know what you're connected to, but that's the question that you have. Right? And so I'm going to do a couple of different things. We have an online petition right now that we're asking people to sign. And what happens is you simply click on this link, you put in your zip code, your representatives pop up, you put your name and email on. We already have a letter that you don't even have to write the letter. You just have to click on the link, and that goes to the representatives. And so that we meet with the representatives and we call them up and say, hey, look, we have this petition with all of these people who have signed it. What are you going to say to them in response? And we challenge them with the questions. Okay? So we're not even asking you to have the conversation with your representative directly. We're just simply asking you to sign this up and to be a part of this. So I just need your name and email, and I'll send a follow-up email with that petition.
Is that Holy Land Trust?
No, that's not through Holy Land Trust. That's not through Holy Land Trust. But the other thing is that we do need financial contributions, because, like I said, it's not easy for us to find institutions and foundations to fund us in this way, right? When we go back, go ahead and flip back on that other slide. The one that shows the 4 panes. So my job for the organization that I work with, I do fundraising and communications for this organization called Holy Land Trust, right? So I apply for a lot of international grants, right? And when you apply for a grant, whether it's from the United States, the European Union, individual European states like Norway or France or Spain, okay, when you apply for that, you check a little box that says, you promise to operate your program with inside of existing international agreements. Okay? And what that means is in a lot of ways, that's a good idea, because it binds your program to work with inside of all of the framework of international law. Humanitarian law, the law which governs military occupation, etc., etc. But what it also binds you to is this peace agreement that says we will create peace by creating 2 states for 2 separate people. Okay? So that means that I have to, whenever I go out and talk, I have to either talk about us working towards this solution, or I can't talk about a solution at all. And I just showed you on that map that it's going to be impossible for a Palestinian state to emerge with some 450,000 Israeli settlers living on that land. Okay? So what that means is that we have to develop a whole different revenue stream in order to offer up a solution. To offer up a solution to this conflict. And the solution that we're trying to offer up to this conflict is that this land needs to be a space in which every individual has access to democracy, real democracy. Bob, was the man's name up here Bob, or am I imagining that?
Yeah, Bob.
Okay, Bob. So Bob comes up here and says, how important democracy is. And we have to think about the different ways in which everyone can have access to fair democracy. So we're proposing a solution which gives every individual access to fair democracy in between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea. We're also proposing a solution in which all of these Palestinians that are refugees are able to return back to their land. During the creation of the State of Israel, some 750,000 Palestinians were driven off of their land. Right? And they're waiting to return. Their right to return is enshrined inside of international law. And by forcing this right to be recognized, we're not just safeguarding the rights of the Palestinian refugees, we're safeguarding the rights of all of the refugees. Because by ensuring the Palestinian refugees have the right to return, and they're paid compensation for what they have lost, that sets a legal precedent. So other countries who engage in war will realize that if they create another refugee situation, right, they will have to take care of those refugees in the future. Okay? So that's what we're working towards, and that's what we're advocating. But in return, we have to advocate and do this work on the ground through different financial streams. And so as I pass this basket along, I want you to think about this. That the money that you contribute here, goes directly into this community of al-Khair, right? If you don't have cash on you, you can write a check to the Alliance for Global Justice. That's our partner here in the United States. They operate out of Tucson. They work primarily in South America and Central America. But they were a group, that decided that, hey, if you want to build greenhouses and it's a moral decision, you're doing it non-violently, we'll partner with you, right? That's the organization, the Alliance for Global Justice. So if you can make a financial contribution via cash, that's great. If you want to write a check, Alliance for Global Justice. And then now I'm willing to open it up for questions and answers.
When that person gets a permit who says they're going to demolish their home, how much legal time do they have?
Go ahead, let me ask the question one more time.
Okay, when a person gets the permit that their home is going to be demolished, how much lead time do they have before they have to get out?
Yeah, so it could be any period of time. Truthfully, it could be a couple of days, it could be a week, it could be 3 years. You literally don't know when that home could be demolished. Yeah, and so that really makes an unpredictable situation. You can't plan for that. Yeah.
Cody,
When you said that Tarek couldn't wait for his home, was that because of the not knowing when they're coming and that he would rather know the date they were coming? I didn't quite understand why.
So to explain it, my buddy Tarek is all the time trying to figure out when his home is going to be demolished. Okay? Tarek will wake up in the morning, and first thing that he'll do, is he'll look at his messages and see if anyone had noticed any military vehicles in the community. He's all the time looking for signs. Is it today that my home will be demolished? There's been lots of times in which Tarek has been away at school. He's got a message saying, hey, hurry up, come home, my home was being demolished. And he wants to make sure that he's there for his young brothers and sisters and cousins. So there's a lot of times in which Tarek doesn't know whether he should go to school or not, because it's important for him to be there when this happens, right? And so in a lot of ways, he would rather just have it done and gone with, so he knows how to go about the rest of his time.
I'll pass the mic.
Yeah, Dan.
Yeah. So there's a group, a working group within Kalamazoo Nonviolent Opponents of War looking at peace and justice in Israel-Palestine. And just to let people know, a project that we're looking at is the the $38 billion that we send to military aid from our government to Israel. And we're looking at having our city commissions pass a resolution opposing this and saying that we should use that money for the unmet human needs we have here. So just to let people know that that's going on, and let me know if you're interested in helping with that.
No, I mean, that's really great. And I think that, in this space today, Bob came together with something, of redistricting, of nipping that problem in the bud, as well as Dan. And so really that's a large component of peacemaking, is going, hey, let's straighten out these mechanisms, that perpetuate violence and injustice. It's that work that's really important. And that's all of the work that all of our work